Hello, my name is Kimberly Stewart Lucas, also known as Warrior Mamas, and this is another episode of Dish with the Doulas. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Dish with the Doulas. Today is a very special episode as I'm joined by someone who's been mentioned in probably every other episode we've done prior to this, either by myself or by one of my guests. Today we are joined by my midwife and friend, Tolewa Oyewole. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It took some time
Yes.
in scheduling this, but all is in divine time.
Yes.
And I'm so proud and so honored and so elated that you are sitting here
I'm excited to be here.
because you have helped change my life.
Wow.
And for those that have watched the other episodes, or maybe the first episode, and kind of, I talked about my philosophy and my birth stories. And my first home birth story was not planned, but it went so wonderfully that we decided to intentionally do it for the other two. And you came into our life and created, and I've said this before, you provided the best health care I've ever received.
That's such an honor for you
And
to say
set a standard that if they're not matching it, it's going to be an issue.
that. Well, that's a good thing.
It's going to be an issue. So I can't even remember how. I have a feeling it's probably through Rajaniya, of how we met or how we were connected. Do you know?
I think it was through Rajaniya.
Okay.
I'm almost certain. Yes.
So we were seeking support, and that connection was made. And I think it was around month 5 or 6 when I was pregnant with Sarah.
Yes.
It's always Sarah. That's my girl. That's my Aries. And it was a new experience for us. But meeting you and the grace that you have, and it was like knowing someone that we've known for a long time. And, you just put us at ease. But the time that you spent with us, to me, is what made the difference.
Yeah.
You do a typical, visit, but then you talk to us about what was going on in the house, because it matters.
Yeah, it matters.
When you're having a home birth, it matters about the energy, about the communication, about the trust. You taught me that. And then you would always leave with either some reading material or something to watch. And we would spend at least an hour together. So it really showed me that there's care in this, as there should be, right? In supporting families.
Yeah.
And I have to mention, you are and I just skipped that whole part, but I'm going to say it now. You are the owner of Earth's Healing Natural Family Services.
Yes, I am.
And you are an instructor at the Matrona, which to me is the premier school of midwifery. That's what that Matrona is. Yes.
I agree with you 100%.
So I want to know, and 'cause there's a lot that, we have a connection, a very strong connection, but there are some things that I don't know that I'm going to ask you today.
Sure.
What led you to birth work?
Oh, wow. That's a
That's
story in
a
itself.
loaded question, but
Yeah.
I want to know.
Well, my journey to birth work kind of moved through my journey through healing. So I came from a really rootsy family. I grew up in this intentional community in South Carolina called Oyotunji.
Okay.
And it's 13 acres in the woods with a bunch of people trying to find their connection to Africa.
Okay.
And my family were one of the first, what we call pioneer families. So I got to Oyotunji when I was 6 months.
Oh, wow.
And my mom said when she got there, it was just a structure with a curtain at the door, and it was a dirt floor. Her husband, my dad, had been down there for 6 months preparing for us to come from New York.
Okay.
Nice apartment. My dad had an apartment. My mom had an apartment. All his wives, he was polygamous. Very middle class lifestyle. And then we moved to South Carolina to
Okay.
a very different kind of
Different life.
experience.
Okay.
And prior to that, I don't know if my family was really into the healthcare system so much, but I
Okay.
know once we moved to South Carolina, it was more about learning how to be self-sufficient, heal ourselves,
Exactly.
take care of ourselves, be as healthy as we can be. So my mom invested a lot of time in nutrition, teaching us about how to eat, how to be really conscious about what we do with the food that we take into our body. You know,
Growing
making
food?
making choices like brown rice over white rice, and the importance of B vitamins. And that was like something my mom would always say to me. So when I started to think about being an adult myself, the health and healing was like the first thing,
Yeah.
you know, for me.
Because you were raised with it. That's what
Yeah.
you knew. Okay.
And so when I sought out health, it was because I wanted to be a pediatrician. And so I decided to be super in school and achieve like that so that I could go to medical school, you know. And I was on that path, and then I got pregnant with my daughter. I intentionally took some time off
Okay.
to try and figure out where I was going because I was kind of lost.
Okay.
You know, trying to find where I fit in the traditional medical model. It just didn't.
It didn't work.
It didn't
It didn't
work.
fit.
It didn't fit.
It
and
didn't fit.
And I kept trying to make it work, and it just was really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, so I decided to be still with it for a minute and see. And I was blessed with my daughter. And the experience of preparing for her birth led me to something that I didn't even really know about. Because even though we grew up in the country,
Yeah.
my mom went to have her babies in the hospital.
Okay.
You know?
So home birth was something that you hadn't been exposed to. Okay.
Prior to my adulthood, I know that babies were born in the village.
Gotcha.
You know, but my mom I remember my mom walking with her luggage on her head up the road because the road was a dirt road. A lot of times it was unpassable.
Okay.
So my mom and dad would walk up to the top to catch the ride to go to the hospital, have the baby. So that's what we always remember, my mom walking up the road.
Wow.
She has 7 children.
Okay. So
So
it's happened.
we've seen-
It's happened a few times. Okay.
Yeah. So when I found midwifery online, it intrigued me, but it still seemed like something that was inaccessible to me.
Really?
Yeah, I was
Why is that? That was inaccessible to you?
where I stayed.
Okay.
You know, like thinking about having a baby where I was living, thinking about what it took to manifest that. I was just overthinking it.
Okay.
You know, and so I was like, well, first time, you know, doing the research, maybe the first time you shouldn't have a baby at home. And I was kind of like, oh, maybe that's true. And then I got introduced to a sister who was working with a midwife in a hospital. Totally transformed my experience and my pregnancy, because before I had a provider, and she was a good provider, but she didn't really connect with me at all.
And that's important, that connection.
And
Of all
I
the
was
things that you do.
seeking that's the thing
It's
that I
connection,
was,
yeah.
and it just, I was hungry for it, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And so I met this other midwife, and she was very open with her heart. And I was like, I
sharing.
like that.
Yeah.
It felt good.
Yeah.
And I went with it. And I was able to have my baby in the hospital. But she let me catch her. She let me catch Folade. Now, I did labor at home for a long time with my mom.
Okay.
And when we got to the hospital, it was as she was coming, you know? So it was kind of a little quick, you know? But she said, do you want to catch your baby?
She gave you the option
Yes.
to do that.
To do that. Change the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a game changer.
It was empowering to do
Not
that.
only was it empowering for somebody to say, I trust that you
can
are
do-
capable,
Exactly.
but to feel that baby in my hands felt familiar. It felt like, this is what you're doing. All the answers about where I was going in the medical field and the perspective that I was taking totally dissipated.
Exactly.
In
that moment.
In that moment, it was like,
Wow.
it was like that moment.
You felt
know?
it.
I
That's
felt
what Christy said when she caught Sarah, which is, you know, you were involved with that birth. She said that was the baptismal
Right.
of her doulaship. And she said she felt a surge go up her arm and throughout her body.
Yes.
And that was the game changer, as if she was called to do it.
Yes.
So
And
that
we
happened with your own
Own
baby.
birth. Yeah. And
That's
after
amazing.
that, I birthed junkie. I was so hungry for it. I was up all night. I was reading every book.
You were called.
I couldn't get it out of my head. I couldn't get that sensation. And that it just was like the perfect fit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was nervous. I was really nervous about seeking a path to it.
Yeah.
Like, will you see that gift in me that I feel that I have?
You feel it, you know it, but will everybody else receive it and accept it?
Yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
it took me about a year of working through that, you know. Like, okay, I'm an actor. Okay, I'm an actor. Okay, I'm an actor. And so I'm still
and you're
a
a
little
new mom,
nervous.
so during this year, you are also going through motherhood and learning. So, and you have this little baby that you're learning how to take care of, which I'm sure you have other siblings, so that's not new to taking care, I'm sure, and being around children, but learning midwifery also as being a mother as well, right?
Well, my experience as a mother was through this midwifery eye that had opened up in the front. I mean, it was like that was it.
Yeah.
Everything
That was
about my
motherhood.
life was through this, and my daughter was a huge catalyst for that.
Yeah.
And so we learned how to be parents together. She taught me how to be a parent and how to trust parenting and how to trust my heart, which helped me in my midwifery practice. Because being able to connect to my own truths, that has never left me. And my daughter taught me that, you know? I mean, the things that I had to come and challenge around the culture around raising children and what's expected and this whole thing about spoiling babies and don't pick them up and this and all these things that have this real weird history that we kind of internalize as our truth and how we raise babies. I had to break all that apart because it just didn't feel natural to me. It felt like I was harming her, you know? And her spirit was real engaging with me, you know, like, yo, I'm not feeling that.
But you were open to have that conversation, so to speak, to know what her needs were, what she was saying to you that she needed, and be receptive to it. So that's something in itself. You know, I think we talk about, you know, these examples of motherhood that we have, whether it's through our mother or what we see our grandparents or just other people in our lives. And we think that's the way maybe. And those some things are helpful to adopt.
Right.
But then with your children, and when you have multiples, all of their needs are different because you have now 4, correct?
Yes.
And so everyone is speaking to you differently about what they need.
Right.
But you were open enough to hear what her individual needs were and then say, okay, this doesn't match the model. I'm going to go with what she's telling me to do.
Yeah.
That's bravery. That's courage.
Well, it started early. She gave me a lot of courage, and she still does, you know?
Yeah.
To be honest, Spirit started talking to me about her through my dreams and awarenesses long before she was born.
Conceived,
And before she was conceived.
Okay, before she was conceived. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And once she was growing inside of me, I was very connected to a source that was leading me down this path that I know now what it is. You know, like almost she needed to come in that moment for me to be able to receive this, you need to be a midwife and this is your work, you know. And so I feel like every little piece of information that I got that I connected with in my pregnancy really has stayed part of my practice, you know, because it was what is healing for me, what, you know, if I was the focal point of care, what would be the most important thing for me?
Yeah.
And I feel like that soul level connection with the person that's helping me through this experience, you know, being able to really truly be me in the experience of birthing or in the experience of any kind of transformation. That's really what the power is, you know. And a lot of times we have to conform to what our provider is expecting of us.
Exactly.
And we miss the opportunity to
Or
really
what even families
be.
expecting of you, of how you're supposed to act and approach certain things.
And for me, that provider piece sits really heavy on me because I've been that mama, you know, that's been influenced by the energy that a provider is giving that transforms the birth experience. So I'm really accountable. I take that real serious, you know, to be aware of how I influence the experience. So even my conversation with my client has to be empowering.
Yes.
I don't ever see you in decline. I don't ever see you sick, because why would I? You know? Why would I want to cultivate that in this very juicy, creative space that you're sitting in?
Exactly.
Why not give you something powerful that for you to cultivate instead of one of my fears, you know? So.
And that's why she's my midwife. Not having any more. I'm just saying, I still call her my midwife, because forever, that's it, right there. Because that being in tune, like you classified Kenyatta and I as unassisted home birth parents. So, and I've shared the story before with Sarah, how, and Rajania will be another guest on Dish with the Doulas, how you all came to the house, I think the day I was due with Sarah, and you checked me, and I'm not sure how many centimeters dilated, because I never got caught up in the measurement of that. I just never did. It was like, okay, sure, okay. I feel fine. I feel a little something's happening, you know. And then you all had family business to take care of. Oh, before Rajania did some reflexology, I believe, on my toes or my feet. I didn't ask for it. I now understand what was going on. That was the second birth that she kickstarted. We'll talk about that in our episode. But, and then you all, you know, left and took care of some family business. Dan was watching Solomon at the time. And so I was calling to check on Solomon. And so he was part of that labor. And then, you know, Yada came home, Christy came, and then I think you all returned maybe about 10, 15 minutes after Sarah was born. And we needed you for that, because I didn't know what to do afterwards as far as the testing and the scores, the APGAR score. And you prepared our placenta. Rajania took beautiful pictures that, you know, I'll just hold dear to forever. And there is a picture of you, and we'll add it to the footage, when we attempted to do a water birth, but we got in afterwards. And there is a picture of you tending to us. I was nursing Sarah. Kenyatta was in the water with me. Her placenta, she was still connected, so the bowl was in the water with us. And you're assisting me, but you are nursing your daughter as you are assisting me. And I looked at the picture, I was like, Tolewa's nursing her daughter. It's like, we're doing all this is happening. It's just natural. This is what we do. This is how we love. This is how we support. And we keep it moving. And we keep it moving. And then with Sophia's birth, again, I always say that you just have this, you can perceive what is needed, and you are there. And if it's not, you step back. And I think is that the Matrona philosophy as well? About being, it's, you know,
returning birth to the family is what it is. It's returning.
And there are a lot of people that don't even believe that, even though you may be pregnant, that it belongs, that process belongs to you. That's the whole thing.
That's how we transform.
Yeah.
That's how this process transforms the planet.
Yeah.
And we decide that this is about families. This is not about providers. This is not about statistics. This is about families growing into families, healthy families, you know, to support these beautiful light beings that we are bringing onto the planet, you know. And I feel like that process is not just about a mama giving birth, but it's about a family developing. It's about a family coming into their power, you know. And I think that it only happens if a provider is willing and able to step back and allow it to unfold as the family designs it. Because when you learn that you can design your birth, the power that exists in that
lasts forever. Forever. That is Warrior Mamas.
Yes.
That is why the show exists, because of experiences that, and even when we didn't have now we're going to go to this room and now we're going to do this, I didn't plan per se, maybe not consciously, maybe in a divine, you know, I just knew that we wanted to be at home. This is with Sophia. So like I said, watch Bobby Womack's Unsung. I started feeling sensations, got on the birth ball, Kenyatta sleeping. It's time to take it to the bathroom. And I knew by my third birth what the steps were for myself. I know what my transition is. I know when I do certain things, okay, it's going to be on and popping after that. And all I know is we were laboring in the bathroom, and I don't even remember. I don't even know when you got there. I just know that Kenyatta obviously had to leave the door unlocked because you came in the house, and I got off the toilet to get on the floor in front of me, to get on all fours, because being on fours is my position to give birth. I saw your feet. You swooped in and you put the blue mat down and you stepped out. I saw you maybe 15, 20 minutes later after I gave birth to Sophia in the bathroom on the floor, got back on the toilet, took a picture as Kenyatta held her as he was sitting on the edge of the bathtub. And then, so we went through all these moments, and then I saw you later in the bedroom, and that's where you did the testing. You checked Sophia out, you checked me out, and you did the placenta reading. And you talk about families, what birth can do for families, the magic, the healing power.
Yes.
That was the first time I ever had a placenta reading.
Okay.
And it was so telling. Just even knowing what the different pieces are, right?
Yes.
You said there's a maternal and a paternal part.
Yes.
And then of our maternal and paternal, there's still a maternal of us.
Right.
So those are the grandparents.
Right.
There was a piece of almost gristle on my part for my paternal side, which really was accurate because my father, rest in peace, that was a different pregnancy. His involvement was he wasn't as present. We didn't see him that often. And that gristle, that it was like a space represented an absence.
Yeah.
It's like, how? You knew a lot, but how did you know? I mean, it said it in the placenta.
It said it in the placenta.
And I think I recently tagged you on something that Shanti had posted about how the placenta is an organ that I know it doesn't come out of nowhere, but it doesn't exist prior to being pregnant, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It forms when you have this baby, and it sustains and protects and nurtures the baby in the womb.
Right.
It has a story to it.
It does. And it's its own entity, to be quite honest.
That is amazing to me.
It's born of the baby.
Okay.
But it's a combination of the two of you. It's as close as you'll ever be to another human. 4 cell walls apart from your baby. Your baby's circulating cells and so forth. It's such an intimate space.
Yeah.
And so I try to encourage families to really connect there, because this is where it starts.
It says so much.
Yeah.
You were able to share with us, Sophia, what she may be here for, to connect.
Yeah.
And it says so much about the existing relationships and what things were. It's the tree of life. It literally is the tree of life, and says so much.
And it's important that we talk about that because so many placentas are just lost or discarded, and not honored in that way. And they do so much.
And by that time, I already knew from the second birth to have my placenta and take it immediately or as soon as possible, because I think, I wasn't able to go downstairs for like a week. Not able to, but you preferred that I stayed upstairs because there was no point for me to go downstairs. And you prepared. And actually, I think you mixed Sarah, because we still had Sarah's placenta, and you mixed those together. And I immediately could feel the difference. My mood, my milk production increased.
Yes.
It was just amazing. And then to be able to save that in grain alcohol as tinctures for them.
Yes.
So it's the lifespan of it, because it's the tree of life. Right?
Right.
It has a lifespan to be beneficial for them.
Yes. And healing for them. For their whole life if they choose it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you had home births with your other children?
Yes. Ever since Folade.
Okay.
Folade was my my hospital birth. I've had unassisted births with all of my children.
And that was clearly intentional.
Very intentional.
Very intentional. You created the experience.
Yes, it did stem from Falade's experience, because it was so important that immediate touch connection that I felt when I was allowed to, you hear I say allowed to catch my baby, or gifted with that. It's a better word. But really the reality is there wasn't an allowance.
Exactly.
And that's unfortunate. But that sensation is what,
fuels.
What has continued to drive me, to catch babies and be present.
Exactly.
Experience this transformation with families.
Exactly.
Take this walk.
When families come to you, what do you initially, I guess, wish for them? What's like, now it's your intake, but when you meet with them, are there, I like using the word expectations, but what do you kind of,
what am I hoping for?
What are you hoping for?
Okay. My ultimate hope for families is to be like what I described you in Kenyatta as, unassisted home birthers.
Okay.
It really, to be honest, feels like I did not do my job, or I have not given you the time, energy, and attention. T is what we call it at the Matrona: time, energy, and attention.
Okay.
A little bit of tea
Little
goes
tea.
a long way.
A little tea.
Yes. Yes. We drink a lot of tea at the Matrona. But that time, energy, and attention can transform into a family that is willing, is courageous enough to say,
This is,
I can do it.
even if they didn't come
Stay
in
by
wanting
the
to do that.
door.
Because a lot of people don't even think
It's possible.
that's possible, but you
Right.
give them that option.
Well, I encourage it.
You encourage it.
And what I do, how I encourage it is by doing those things like educating people around what birth is, how it works, what to expect, how to empower your experience in it, how to cultivate it, how to grow the experience, how to create the birth that you really want, not the backup plan, not the forward plan or plan B and all that. I mean, I hear when people say, oh, don't get caught up in the expectation that it'll go one way. But if we know that we're creating a reality, why would we have a backup plan?
Exactly.
Unless you need a backup plan. And I'm like, that just don't make sense to me. Like, what I know in birth is that we create the reality that we want.
Yes.
And what I want families to do is to think about the possibility that exists. What can we create? How far can we go? We know we got DMT.
DMT is?
Dimethyltryptamine, the spirit molecule. Oh, it's this hormone,
Teach,
right?
please.
It's this hormone, right? And it's a really special hormone.
Okay.
And it is the hormone that's produced in our bodies when we have these God experiences, when we have these experiences of peak, what they call peak experiences. So you have DMT when you are having cosmic orgasm. You have DMT when you are giving birth. Your baby is circulating in DMT. The whole time they're in your womb, the baby is producing DMT, which means you have access to this really powerful spirit we call the spirit molecule.
The spirit molecule.
Yes, you got to do a whole program on the spirit molecule.
We will. Now that we know.
Because it is the juicy part.
Yeah.
It's the part that, where you could say you had the experience of communing with your mother who's gone. And she was there and she held my hand through it. And I felt her presence so deep in my spirit. I knew that I was walking with God. I had this out-of-body experience. I felt transformed. DMT allows us to do those things. We work really hard to get a little touch of DMT. We got to have like cosmic orgasms. Not very easy, for everybody. Peak experiences. We don't want to die, We don't want to give birth all the time. But when we're pregnant, we have this opportunity.
It's happening
all the time. 9 months. And when we think about this, like, oh, she got the pregnancy brain. No, she's got DMT on board. Oh, she got lost at Walmart. Oh, that's because DMT is active in her mind. And instead of her seeing the colors of that box that got her tripping, she's gone all the way at Walmart and forgot totally what she went there for. Wow. That's DMT. That's the spirit molecule. And what we have is the potential to cultivate that for labor. Like people do really powerful ceremony like ayahuasca, where they have access to this DMT.
Okay, so you can connect to it through that as well. Okay.
You can connect to it through a lot of different traditional methods of taking in potions and brews, sitting with the medicine to get that DMT experience.
Exactly.
it's been healing for generations. You know, this access to this spirit molecule.
Yeah.
You know, we always have had access. Women have always had access to it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, nobody tells you that. But what they do tell you is that your blood pressure could be high, or that we need to test you for sugar. And they know that you have this creative juice flowing that could create anything that you want, and they want to feed you the problems. And that just don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, if we want to create beauty, we should talk about beauty.
Not the other things.
Not the other things. We do the other things because we need baseline information. That's my perspective.
Yeah.
We need baseline information. And for these purposes, you have some options of how to get your baseline information. But is it a requirement? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know?
That's powerful. So I've been schooled on that today, and I think a lot of people watching, I'm sure there's some people that are watching that knew about it, but I did not. So thank you for opening my mind up to things I've been open to already that I've experienced.
Think about it. When you had your baby.
Yes.
It was an otherworldly experience.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about the emergence of life that you blessed me with, and I share and all that. It's talking about going on your journey to the other side, to the whichever side you want to talk about, and going to get your baby.
Right.
You have to leave this.
Right.
And it's something that it was a euphoric feeling. It was, and I know we're always connected to the source. We are the source. But it was a connection unlike no other.
Yes.
And also not just in me, but there was a collective source that I was tapped into. And again, we always are, but in that moment, I physically felt the presence of other women giving birth. I physically felt the presence of women praying for me and praying for us. And it was a tangible feeling.
Yes.
Like I can say I know what collective womanhood feels like.
Yes.
Because I felt it several times, but it was through my births that I felt that, and to even say that this is real, this exists.
Yeah, it does exist, and we can go so far with it, you know. And so I'm excited to see what the frontiers of birth will look like when we really start looking at birth from this perspective. You know,
where do you see things going?
Well, I don't know it. But what I would love to cultivate for myself.
Where would you love to see things going?
I would love to see birth be that healing beacon for the planet, because it is. Like when I have an experience of birth and I leave the birthing experience, every person that I come in contact with can feel that resonating off of me, that loving, I don't know. They just,
like, you just came from birth. You just came from birth.
You are glowing. Ooh. And people just are coming up to me. They talk to me. They stop me at the gas station.
Really?
They come while I'm pumping. It's something that's happened to me that I've been swept into that's visceral. People can feel it. And if this is happening to me in this little as above, so below, we can create a bigger momentum of this energy and start healing with it and start really using birth to heal our planet consciously. Not just as a result of the, a beautiful birth, but consciously choosing birth as our healing mechanism for this planet. Because we know that babies that are born in consciousness and with love are adults that love unconditionally. Period. If we want to heal violence in our world, if we want to heal lack in our world, if we want to heal any of the things that we are challenged with, all we have to do is birth babies in consciousness with love, and they won't have an addiction to stress hormones. That, it's real. Babies that are gestated in a cocktail of stress, meaning the mom is not in a nurtured experience, and so she's stressed out or worried or confused or hurt. The baby is gestating in this cocktail, in these juices that mom is producing. Everything mom produces, baby has access to. Every emotion that you have a hormonal reaction. So every time you're happy, you produce oxytocin.
Exactly.
The hormone of love. It makes you smile, gives you the tingly feeling, makes your heart race, pumps blood, oxygenates the blood in your body. I mean, it does so many things for you, just oxytocin. But when you're stressful, you produce a stress hormone which blocks oxytocin's production. Like, right? That's a big deal for people to know.
It is.
Like, when you're stressed, you are not producing oxytocin. You're producing something that blocks oxytocin. Right. That's a big deal.
And so in having that knowledge, I believe people would make different choices about who they speak to.
Right. And
where
how
they go,
speak.
and how do they speak to themselves,
right.
and what's coming out their mouth.
And what stories we share to the birthing mothers around us.
Yes.
Because for some reason in our culture,
we want to share
the horror.
You know, I empower people, and I had to learn this myself, to stop people. If I could hear, and you kind of know the first 3 words maybe, and how the person's face is looking and what they're about to say, and I learned how to say, what you're saying to me is not empowering me, so I'm going to ask you to stop, or I'm just going to walk away. I'm not being rude, but I just cannot take that on.
Yeah.
You know, let alone people grabbing or wanting to touch your stomach. I don't know what that's about. And people thinking they have the right to.
Right.
That's an honor. You ask for permission, because I don't know where your hand, not just if it's not clean, but the energy you have going on through you to even transmit that. I was quick to grab a wrist, and I empower people to do that.
That's about
Grabbing wrists.
owning the experience.
Yeah.
You know,
But people feel like, because I'm pregnant, I'm
their
just
experience
accessible.
is owned by everyone.
Not at all.
That's not true.
That is so powerful, to own the experience, and it takes on a whole different perception of your role in protecting yourself.
Right.
When you own it.
Empowerment.
And not everyone has access or should have access to what's going on, you know?
And the good thing about this conversation is now people have access to hearing what is necessary to create this experience for yourself. Because a lot of people aren't willing to say, shh, please don't share that with me.
Yeah.
You know,
To
a lot of
family,
women are hungry for help me.
Yes.
Is this going to help me? They don't really know that it's not.
Yes.
Everybody feels like they're helpful when they share their story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's a willingness, even when I think about intent, right? Some people are just sharing because they want to share. Right. They've never been given the opportunity. I am grateful to be part of a community where we openly, freely share our birth stories. Yeah. I've written mine down. I share mine with my children every birthday. They're like, okay, Mom, we know about that. But they know their birth story. They sure do. They can probably recite it without reading something. But there's some people that don't feel like they have a platform to even talk to their partner or their family or friends about it. Yeah. You know, so sometimes people share not with wanting to, but they just were never given the opportunity to share, you know? Right. But then some of the stories may not be as empowering, it's true. And it's like, okay,
we need that in our community.
We need that. That's one thing I'm learning, is just the exchange of information is so powerful. What you've, like I said, I've known you for, now 13 years? Yes. But you've taught me so much today about what I got, what I've always had, just, I appreciate you. I just thank you. And just as that midwife changed your life, you've changed mine in the same way. And it was through birth that allowed for this platform to come. There's other work that I do. I'm an event planner. I do all this. But it was through my birth work that set me free. Yes. It was my birth work that set me free.
And that is the compliment that I like to hear. That's what I want to come through in the experiences that I participate in. Yeah. I have clients that, when I first start talking to a client, I let them know, my goal is not for you to say, I'm so grateful. I couldn't have done it without you. That is not a compliment.
That's not it? Oh, really?
No.
I laugh because I just... That is not what I want to hear.
That is not the thing.
Yeah.
That makes me feel like I've made you dependent on my information, skill, or whatever I come with. And that is not the truth.
That's not what you wanted to do.
The truth is you are complete and capable all by yourself. And we can walk this walk together, and I can continue to tell you how capable you are until you hear it,
And
internalize it,
and then walk it.
act it,
And then
and
act
walk it, and walk it.
And that's why you were able to swoop in, put it down, step out.
Right. Because you were there from day one.
Oh, my goodness. That's so divine. So divine. Are there any other things that you would like to share about your philosophy?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I mean, I love talking about birth,
Yes.
and I could do this all day. But some things that I feel like it's really important for families to understand is postpartum care. We miss that. I mean, we miss it so that it makes me want to cry.
There's a book that you let me read, and it said that you are pregnant for 9 months, but you're postpartum for the rest of your life.
Yes.
For the rest of your life.
It's true.
It's like, huh? Really? Okay.
Well, we don't realize how much we have shifted and transformed over those 9 months.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of times the focus is on the uterus and birthing a baby, and everybody is so geared, and we're all there for you, and we're going to support you through this pregnancy. But as soon as you have that baby, you're done.
Yeah.
Most times, in a traditional sense, if you're delivering in a hospital, you be there for 2 days, and you don't see your provider again until you're 6 weeks postpartum.
A lot's going on in those 6 weeks.
Oh man, a lot is going on in those 6 weeks. So much is going on in those 6 weeks that I feel like that is when women need care.
Yes.
Babies need care in the tummy.
Yes.
Women need care in the postpartum. That's when we are the most vulnerable, because honestly, pregnancy is the most empowering and healthy place a woman can be.
Yes.
Your cells are working better, your blood is flowing better, your circulation is better, your immune system is better. You know what I mean? You know? When you have the baby is when you're vulnerable.
Yes.
And in our culture, we missed that by 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And in most traditional cultures, there's a whole system of care for women after they have babies.
I always ask new families, who's cooking for you for the next month? Do you have a list?
You have a plan.
Do you have a plan? And I learned that through you all, that you need it. Not that I didn't know that I needed it, but that you can actually ask for it because you need it.
Yes.
And for it to go on for not just the first week. I mean, we know, may not years from now, but that first month is critical.
It is critical.
And when people want to offer, it's like, yeah, come over and can you fold this laundry for me?
Yes.
Can you sit with the baby while I take a bath or a shower or get some sleep or something? Can you do the dishes? Can you pick up something?
Right.
Could you pick my kids up?
Right.
Having that support is everything.
And even if you're just there to listen.
Yeah.
Because this is something I'm just going to quickly say.
Okay.
We think about pregnancy, and we think about the time that it takes to just say, grow a baby. And you think about the cocktail that is necessary for it to happen. It's completely different from your normal cocktail. That is your life-sustaining hormonal flow.
Exactly.
When you're pregnant, you have this whole new arrangement of hormones that sustains the pregnancy. But then when the baby is gone, the hormones are gone too. And then all of a sudden you're without something that you have had for consistently for 9 months. Almost like a withdrawal. And if we look at it from that perspective, we can understand why women need the kind of support that they need.
Yes.
Why we have shakes, why we have irritability, why we have emotional ups and downs. No, it's not the baby blues. No, it's not because we're wounded. No, it's not because we're weak women. It's because we have been
A shift
has happened, a real biological shift.
Yes.
That has to have a recovery period. Without it, it just doesn't work, and we don't have a system to support that recovery, honestly. And there is a sister friend of mine, my sister friend Annie, and one of my students who I've worked with for births as well. has a friend who created this book.
Okay.
And it slipped my mind her name, but when we get into the later, I'm going to look her name up.
Okay.
But she wrote a book, and it's called The Seven Sisters.
The Seven Sisters.
And I think this is a great model to use. And what it is basically 7 women from your community or your community sister friends or your family who commit to be with you 1 day a week for 4 weeks. That means you only have to be responsible for 4 trips. And that means that woman has consistent support, care for every day for 30 days. That's the minimal. It only takes 7 women. It only takes 4 trips. You're only responsible for 4 things for your sister.
That's life-changing.
That's life-changing.
That excites me just to even think of the possibilities having that kind of support and energy and visitors, really.
Right.
Like, it's company, but it's support.
And it's whatever way it needs to look like. It could be just a shoulder for you to cry on that day. It could be pick the kids up from school. It could be fold some clothes. It could be make a meal. It could be drop a meal off. It could be just sit in silence with me. Let me take a shower.
Exactly.
Massage my back. Whatever it is, it's being available for a woman in a very vulnerable time, and it makes the woman feel like she's capable of doing it.
Exactly.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed by the experience, you feel held by the experience, and you're allowed to grow into this parent that you want to be.
That's such a simple model, but it is life. Like I said, I'm getting chills just even thinking about the possibilities of and the outcome of that, of the mother and really how empowering it is for the women, 7 women that are involved.
Yes.
But what the mother gets and then what the baby gets because the mother gets that. And that's exciting.
The mother is getting it, but also the partner is getting the opportunity to really be involved in the postpartum.
Yes.
Not as a care provider, but as a participant.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we keep cutting this postpartum off like it's not part of the birth experience. This is still part of how this family is growing. It's the 4th trimester. It's how this family is growing now. Now this partner is showing up for this mama and baby, So how does that look? Well, they have to figure that out. Space has to be allowed for that. And they have to be allowed for it
to figure it out.
Right. Instead of trying to make meals or trying to organize childcare or trying to clean up after the birth or trying to, you have space to figure it out.
That's amazing.
That's how we care for babies.
I love that.
In a transformative way. That's how we transform our planet. That's my secret mission.
That's your secret mission? Well, it's out there now.
Well, it's out there. It's out there. It's been out there because I've been telling people it's my secret mission.
Okay.
So
it's going to grow some more.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you, however you choose, as far as online, email?
Well, I'm online. I'm on social media. Earth's Healing Natural Family Services at gmail.com. Earth's Healing with the S. Family Services at gmail.com is my best way to reach me. Of course, you can call. And all that information is on social media and my website.
We'll have all that on your caption.
Okay, great.
Your information. Yes. It'll be on the lower. We call it the lower third. Right
most of my referral are through
word of mouth.
Word of mouth. I don't do a lot of advertising.
You don't have to, probably.
And I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's personal.
Yes.
It means that this person has taken the time, knows who I am.
Has, I'm sure, heard the stories.
Yes.
The amazing stories that happen.
And are willing to take a journey with me.
Yeah.
In transformation.
May I have your hand? I thank you for being here. This was an honor. And more shows you've given me like probably 5 or 6 other show ideas. At least. But thank you for being here and being in my life. And I appreciate you so much. I do. So it's here, right? Yeah. That is this episode. We're about to go into the after show segment and have a little food from Disha with 2 pieces of toast.
Yay.
And she said, yay. And please contact me on IG at Warrior Mamas. It's Warrior Mamas on Facebook. with any suggestions or questions or any information that you request. And I thank you all so much for being a part of this experience with Tolewa and myself. And thank you for watching Dish with the Doulas.